What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Josh Talks. Joining me this week, a man who has wrestled pretty much you name the wrestling promotion. He has been there. He's been around the block and then some. Master of WildKat Sports, one half of Ox Airy, the Southern Star.
Whoa. We can't use words like master no more. Shit like that to get you thrown out. You know what I mean?
My mistake. My mistake.
Owner.
The owner.
Yeah.
I could say mastermind. I could say the genius. I could say the brains behind it. Okay.
Mastermind. There you go.
Okay, there you go. We'll go with that. Well, Luke, how you been, man? It's been a while.
I'm good. I'm just quarantining up like everybody else and wondering when this is gonna end and we can go back to somewhat normal life and get on with some shows. It's been difficult because I've been used to being gone so much and working so much. I love to work. I generally do, whether it be films or wrestling. Of course, those are my passions along with fitness. Mm-hmm. And this has just put a damper on everything, where everything's just been at a halt. And we're in July right now. This has been going on since March.
Right.
I don't want to go another 4 to 6 months without really working. So I'm just trying to stay as positive, but it's out of my control and it's out of a lot of other people's control and a lot of people in the same boat. So, and the job that I do, of course, everybody knows, like I said, is wrestling and films. So I've put the last 20 plus years of my life into that, and everything is paused almost indefinitely while we figure out what's going to go on. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm, just trying to stay as active as possible and in the best shape as possible. And that's it, man. But it's getting to that point to where it's been a while, right?
Sure.
And we're not getting any answers and things are changing. And, I think for myself, I've took the time to kind of be as safe as possible and follow some guidelines. But at the same time, I haven't stopped living my life. But I'd really like to get back to just working.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, because obviously a lot of people that, of course, I interact with, that I know through wrestling, obviously are in California, where each state is going through all different types of craziness, of course. Down in your neck of the woods, down in Louisiana, I mean, what is the environment been like lately? What kind of updates have you heard of the possibility of, okay, more time at gyms, getting wrestling shows together? We know it's certainly going to be a while, but what kind of update is there down by you?
Well, as far as wrestling goes, we have a state athletic commission. Mm-hmm. And I've been told by the commission that they don't have any plans of having any kind of commission meetings in the future as of right now to open up back again. But they said that it would be fall if we're lucky. Mm. And that's a rough pill to swallow. It's a rough pill to swallow because obviously my son and I, Hawx Airy, PJ Hawx and myself have been doing the father-son tag team thing, and we've gotten pretty good steam rolling into all this. We were the ROW tag team champions. We are the Wildcat tag team champions currently. PJ had just jumped off the mall that went super viral.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of big bookings as well. And again, like I just said, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but it all came to a screeching halt. So right now it's like I said, I for Louisiana, our gyms are open, thank God, and have been for a while. We're in phase 2. We're in a modified phase 2, and they just announced today that we'll be staying in phase 2 for another 2 weeks. But after that, who knows, right? And there's been talks of going back down to phase 1 and closing gyms again. I hope that doesn't happen. If it does, I'm fortunate enough that I have my own gym, so I can go work out 24/7 whenever I want. But I'm a firm believer that being in the gym is what builds a lot of immunity to this. And I think majority of the people who go to the gym are in pretty good health. Every now and then you see the random jerk coming out the gym. And,
once in a while you'll see me there.
Maybe, but I don't judge body types because I judge people by what they're doing on exercises. Right?
Okay.
They're in there doing some work. Some people know what they're doing. And just it's like wrestling, right? They had some bigger guys. You take a guy like Vader who can get in there and go. So you can't judge anybody off looks. what I judge people off of is like when they walk out the gym or they walking into the gym and they got a Coke and a cigarette right before they're going into the gym. So, but for the most part, if you're going to the gym, you're pretty healthy. And I think that, taking that away from people, but we'll get into politics, we'll get into, religious views, whatever, all that BS, but I don't want to.
Nah.
But I'm saying taking that away, taking the gym away, but hey, Home Depot and everything else is open. Walmart, you can, every a bar that serves food can be open. I mean, I think things need to be open and people need to make their own decisions, and if they say wear your mask, wear your mask. If it's mandatory, wear your mask. But I don't think anybody really knows still what's going on. And obviously, there's a lot of small businesses out there that can't. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, man. I'm talking about this virus. We should probably be talking about wrestling, right?
You're fine. We're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you want to talk a couple minutes on the virus, we can do that.
I don't want to talk about it.
Man, I've done some of these interviews where literally I've gone an hour and asked 4 questions because people might have gone on tangents. Like, well, however the interaction is, that works for me.
Yeah. I'm just hoping things open back up soon. And like I said, I'm getting to that point where I'm getting a little stir crazy because I love to work, man. I love what I do for a job, and I just want to go back to work, and I don't want to sit out another 4 to 6 months. So.
Well, let's go. You touched on it a moment ago as far as being a tag team with your son, Hawx Airy. Like you said, I'm just wondering how this really all came to be, because once in a blue moon in wrestling, you hear like the special attraction of a father, maybe teaming with their son. In many cases, that might have been because the father at that point might have been retired. Obviously, you're far from retired.
Right.
And your son not only are a regular team, but like you said, you've been having success at Wildcat, a reality of wrestling. You've been going viral. But how does it differ when you're having to tag your son in your mind as opposed to just, like another guy that you worked with?
Well, it emotionally it's different.
Right.
So, and what I mean by that is you're always going to be a parent. And I've explained this to other people in the past, but I say when I'm wrestling with him, it is difficult, believe it or not, because I know the pains of wrestling. We can throw it's fake out the window because we've already explained a million times that it's entertainment, but it's not fake.
Right.
So I know how difficult things can be. I know how painful things can be. And I know how painful working with certain workers can be, right? Certain guys are just stiff. Certain guys are great. Certain guys will just kill you. They just, they only know one style, and that's kill you. So, me watching my son go through the motions and sometimes not knowing if he's selling or not knowing if he's really hurt can be a little difficult, because I remember one match, it was a 4-way dance, and it was one of his first singles matches. He screwed his knee up. A guy kind of clipped his knee on the side. He went to go for a schoolboy, but the guy tripped and ran shoulder first into his knee and just kind of I can't think of the word I'm thinking, but basically clipped him.
Okay.
And it blew his knee out in the middle of the match early on. And he had to roll out the ring. And now keep in mind, he's only had 3 or 4 matches at this point. And I watched it happen, so I could see that that it was a nasty hit. And I'm in the back now. I'm watching the match. This is before we started tagging. And I'm just like freaking out because I don't know if my son just completely blew his knee out in one of his first matches due to somebody else's negligence. It happens. It happens. It's an accident. I understand it.
And you can't suddenly run out.
Right. And you can't just stop. So it's one of those things where your heart's beating and you got your fingers crossed and going, please let him be okay. Please let him be okay. Please let him be okay. Now magnify that times 10 when you're tagging with him, you see everything up close and personal. And, or he takes a nasty fall and you're going, Jesus Christ, this is my, I know, because he's like, I'm fine. Even when he's hurt, he's fine. But I remember I used to do the same thing. Every time I got my ass whooped or fell off something and took this stupid bump that was, dangerous and unnecessary, everybody's like, you okay? You okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. But I'm going, damn, my bell's rung, So, Yeah, that's it. It can be a little nerve wracking, man. But I'm really proud of him, and it's nice to be able to watch my kid. He's just getting started. He's got a long way to go, so I hope he can stay healthy. He's obviously been working really hard in the gym in this off time with me. He's put on about 10 pounds. He wants to be better. He's always working on things such as his promos, his wrestling. He's training his ass off. So he knows how hard I work. So kind of the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but he does want to be better than me, which I obviously want to, and he already is. But like,
we don't have to tell him yet. You don't have to tell him yet. That's fine.
No, you don't have to tell him yet. But to see the work ethic and to see what I've influenced him to do because of the things I've done is really nice. A lot of people don't get to see that. So, a lot of your son, you might be a plumber, and your son might be a plumber, and so forth, and his son might be a plumber. But to see like my work ethic from wrestling and the gym go into him, and he go, okay, well, my dad did this, so I don't want to be my dad's shadow, so I kind of got to outdo my dad. And that was from day one. We used to fight about it actually because he had this chip on his shoulder. When he was a high school wrestler, he was a 3-time amateur state champion. He has a lot of amateur credentials. So I wrestled for 2 years amateurly, and I had him. I stopped wrestling in 10th grade because I had him in 10th grade. I was working a regular job. I was getting out of school half a day and going to work. So I'd go to school half a day, go to work the rest of the other half of the day. Obviously, I couldn't wrestle anymore. But I love wrestling. Always did, always will. He wanted to get into wrestling. I didn't push him into wrestling. He wanted to get into it. He wanted to get into amateur wrestling. So he starts amateur wrestling. And at first, he wasn't really tough, and he wasn't picking it up because he was very timid. He didn't want to hurt somebody. Then he learned really quick, it's either kill or be killed. And I couldn't really coach him because he didn't want to listen. It was like, everything he wanted to do was just outdo whatever I've done. And there was this chip on his shoulder where, like, Dad, I want to be better than you. You never won any state championships. I want to, and I was like, look, I want you to be better than me. There's no reason for you to be angry at me. But it was, and I remember it because this is things like we don't really talk about, so it's kind of cool to talk about on your podcast.
Yeah.
I remember he had just won a very prestigious award from his school. Like, he was the homecoming king, and he won the Velma Kemp Award for his school, which means like he was like one of the top students and basically the hometown hero.
Okay.
Of the school.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he was in the top 10 academics, all that stuff. But Fast and Furious had just came out. So at the award ceremony, he wins the award, and his friends were talking about his dad being in the movie. So it just kind of completely, and I felt so bad because there was already a little like, hey, he wants, and it was just petty. It was petty, not from me or not from him. It was petty because he wanted to be the star, and he wanted, to be recognized for his hard work, but instead he was getting recognized. His dad was getting recognized for being in a film. And, when you see things like that as a father, of course it's cool to be recognized, but at the same time, you want your kid, naturally you should want your kid to be more than you and be better than you. So I've always tried to make sure to give my son the right amount of credibility and put in the right work with him and make sure that he knows that it's not a competition and that I always want him to be better than me.
Well, he definitely got a lot of recognition with that viral spot in the mall that you touched on.
100%. He's done a few movies since then as well. He's had a few films come out. He's got one out called Simplify that I think's on Hulu, and I don't know if it's on Netflix yet, but I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu. So there's several things he's doing. I'm ready to get back into tagging, man, because I enjoy being on the road with him. I enjoy him learning the road and the stories, and working with older wrestlers and stuff. He's had a good career so far where he's got to work with a lot of older guys and guys who have been there and done that. So. And there's a lot of guys that take invested interest in him, like Booker T. Booker T's always took Bob Holly's took a ton of interest in him. Stevie Richards has took a ton of interest in him. And speaking of Stevie Richards, he's here right here, so he wants to say hi to the podcast. So Stevie's took a lot of invested interest in him, and there's a lot of guys that see how talented that PJ is, and not just because he's my son, they watch him and they go, man, this kid's got something. Because of his amateur background, he reminds you of a young Kurt Angle, a young Chris Benoit, guys that were just hardcore grapplers can go, but with a lot of agility as well.
Is there ever any time where, you know, like you're talking with him like at a show where you have the mindset like, you know, he's one of the boys, and you might say something like, oh wait, oh, it is also my son.
No. Every now and then I'll joke, I'll make some stupid, you know, I'll mess with him about his mom or something. In fact, just so he can say, oh, you're disgusted or something, you know what I mean, just to mess with him. But I never, you know, I'm a father first, man. But it is good to travel with him and learn with him. And there's a lot of times now where I find he'll tell me something. And I'm not talking about as far as like any boy combos. I mean, as far as like, hey, this doesn't make sense in a match. We should switch this around. I'm like, damn, bro. Yeah. All right. You know what I mean? Like, how'd you get so goddamn smart?
Well, I want to also talk with you a little bit with the acting that you touched on, how you're in Fast and Furious. Your son's doing some acting. I actually wanted to attempt, we'll see how well this goes, with a little mini game with you.
Okay.
I have your IMDb page up in front of me, and you have a lot of credits on here.
Yeah, I've done a good bit.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of stuff that ain't even on there because I don't ever update it. Like some, you know, the films usually update them.
Sure. Yeah.
And I should probably do a better job of keeping records. But there's a lot of stuff that I'm in that I'm not even listed on there because, you know, somebody dropped the ball listing it, and I dropped the ball listing it too. So, but yeah, it's cool. I got a lot of good credits, man. I'm lucky.
Yeah, I wanna try to see here. Now this is based on the actor credits that I can see on IMDb. I'm gonna randomly name the name of the character that you played.
Okay.
And I want to see if you can name the TV show or movie that it was with.
Yeah.
First, and I'm skipping the ones that just say Luke Hawx. First off, Glitter Wrestler.
Oh, that was Claus.
That's
I'll tell you a funny story. So I was playing a gay wrestler.
Okay.
They called me to cast me for that, and they said, "Hey, we got this role, and it may be a little uncomfortable, but we wanted to offer it to you and see if you were interested in taking the role." And they said, obviously, they're gonna pay me a little more, this, that. I said, "Well, what's the role?" They said, "It's a wrestler." That's easy. That's easy.
All right.
And they're like, "Yeah, but it's an oil wrestler. You're gonna be oil wrestling with this other guy, and it's for this gay guy on the TV show, and it's for his entertainment. So it could be a little uncomfortable." So, and they're like, "You got a few lines, this and that," and they're like, you know, think about it and give us a call back and let us know if you want to take this role. So I thought about it, and the first thing, like the gay stuff wasn't what bothers me, but it was obviously you do have to be all oiled up and pretty much groping another guy. But the guy's a good friend of mine as well, so I thought it would be hilarious. But I was like, man, of course I'm going to take the role because I'm thinking I get typecasted so much. I'm the bad guy. I'm the bouncer. You know, I'm the doorman who gets into the scuffle. So I'm like, this is a chance for me to kind of branch out and do something different, which was cool because that actually made the commercial for the trailer for the season. That was the season 2, the first episode, I believe. So it made the trailer for the season, and I got a lot of publicity from it, so it was really cool.
Very cool.
But it was fun because everybody was laughing because the actor's not really gay, the guy who plays Uncle Daddy. So, like, he's not really gay. And the whole time we're shooting it, you know, I'm a goofball. The guy I'm working with, Tyler, he's a goofball. So we're sitting there cracking jokes, and it's funny. And then the actors are cracking jokes, and they want to take pictures on the side because we're in little weenie bikinis, and we're all oiled up, and we're all glittered. And they're like, more glitter, and we got more glitter all over us. You see his big jacked up me. Big mean me.
Tell me about Cajun Werewolf.
Cajun Werewolf was Monsters and Mysteries in America. So those investigation discovery shows.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. That was the first time I've ever wore contacts. They had to put these yellow contacts in my eye to play the Rougarou, the Cajun Werewolf. And it took them about an hour to get them in because I've never worn them before. My eyes are so small, they couldn't get my eyes to open. God, it was a pain in the ass. I hated it. But another cool show.
Yeah, I'm looking at just like interesting character names. Burly Trag.
Burly Trag. That was the Alien show. Star-crossed.
There, yeah, 3 for 3.
So let me tell you a story about that. We'll go into stories for everyone, probably.
That's fine.
For that one, I had 3 or 4 lines in it as well, but I had to learn a made-up language. So that was for the Sci-Fi Network or CW Network, one of those TV shows. And the aliens on the show had their own language. So somebody actually made up a language, and I had to study a lot of the words and stuff from this language for that role, which was kind of a pain in the ass. And then they gave me a voice clip of how to say everything correctly. And I mean, I don't remember how long I studied for, but it was obviously a few days minimum. And then a small fight scene out of that. I had a small fight scene out of that, but it was cool because you go back and you watch it, and there's subtitles and everything, but I speak in the foreign language and then I speak in English, so that's pretty cool little role.
And almost like a Klingon in a way for that.
Yes, basically.
Interesting. Well, it's good to know that you're remembering the roles that are on there, which is
yeah, that's cool. Now, if you ask me what I did, I probably couldn't name. You know, what I mean, I could probably name off 5 or 10 shows, and then I start getting blank.
Sure.
The bigger ones are the obvious ones, but so like whenever somebody says, "Oh, what movies are you in?" I'm like, a lot. I don't know.
That's a good answer to have. I want to be in a lot.
Yeah, I got a film dropping on Netflix August 14th.
Oh.
Now, and I honestly think it's going to be probably the biggest film of 2020 because circumstances. Excuse me. Not only circumstances of a lot of things haven't been released, but this movie was very well done. Very well done. It's called Project Power, and it stars Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That drops August 14th, which is a Friday. And if you go watch the trailer on Netflix, you're gonna love it, man. It's sort of the basic story of the film is there's a new drug that's invented, and it's a pill that gives you this power for 5 minutes. And each power, you don't know your power until you take the pill. So like, it's basically like a comic book movie, superhero movie, with some grit to it. And I had a really cool scene with. Now, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't even know, I don't even know how much it's made because, look, I've been on movies where I filmed for 2 months and then I'm only in them for 30 seconds.
Right.
And then I've been on movies where I've been on for a few days and I'm in it for, 5 minutes. So it's you never know. But I had a really fun scene with Jamie that I'm pretty sure is in the film. And me and Jamie do some back and forth and eventually, obviously, we get into it. So, and Jamie was really fun to work with. Very talented guy, super talented guy. You sit there, and I was on that for a while. I was on that film for about a month doing some different things. I did a few different things. I did some stunt driving on it, some stunt choreography, some fight choreography on it, as well as my little acting role. But being around Jamie so much on the film made me realize how much more talented. I mean, I always respected his work, obviously, because I think he's a good actor. But to see him transition into so many things and play around and how musically gifted he is, how funny he is, probably one of my favorite people to work with.
Wow, so there you go. Project Power coming on in a few weeks, starring Luke Hawx along with Fox and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Now I am featured on it, so if you go to all the film stuff on it, you'll see me listed in the credits as one of the actors. So and it says starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Jamie Foxx, and then below is like Machine Gun Kelly and my name and a couple other people's names. So.
Dude, that's great, man. That's awesome. I'm planning on watching that when it comes out on Netflix then.
I gotta get one of those lead roles.
Yep, it'll happen. They're
tell those people.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just send a text here real quick. I'll do whatever I can, but I have probably as much power in Hollywood as my phone.
What percentage you on?
Yeah. Before we get ready to wrap up, I do just want to kind of talk about really the origins of Wildcat and how it came up with how you started, and also the name for a wrestling promotion. It's a name that you would never normally hear of, WildKat Sports.
Right.
You normally hear that with like something wrestling federation or world or whatever. So
yeah, we don't really call it Wildcat Wrestling. We do refer to it as Wildcat Wrestling sometimes, but that's not the name. We call it Wildcat Sports.
Right.
And I'm glad you pointed that out, because the reason I did that is, if you notice with anything I do, I try to be different. I always try and be a trend setter, a bar raiser. I want to be the guy that people copy and follow. I don't want to copy somebody else. So a lot of things I do and say are my ideas. I don't watch a lot of, and take it for what it is, I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't read a lot of books. I don't follow people on social media that I don't know personally. Now, Facebook's a little different. I'll accept some friends here or there, whatever. But like, the friend request. But like, if I'm personally following you on like Twitter or Instagram or something, I know you personally. And the reason I do that is because I don't want a lot of outside influences. I want my ideas to come from my head. And that's what Wildcat was. And when I first started, Orlando Jordan was living here in Louisiana. He was actually living with me and my wife at the time. Mm-hmm. He was with TNA. And they owed him a lot of money, and he wasn't getting paid, and he was in a bad spot, so he was staying with me. And we started up the school. I was going to start it up anyway, and it just made sense why he was here, because he had a decent name that, it hopefully attracts some people. So he had a company called Wildcat something when he was with WB. It was his LLC, basically. It was just called Wildcat something. It was cat with a C. And it was like Wildcat. I don't even remember what the name of it was, but regardless, we were trying to think of a name for a wrestling company and school. And I said, why don't we just call it Wildcat, like your old company, but use a K, and then call it Wildcat Sports. Let's put sports in it. Let's not be WCW or this. You know what I mean? I didn't want any of that, or 3PW, or I didn't want to throw a number. I wanted to be something different. So I said, let's just call it Wildcat Sports. And he goes, why don't we call it Wildcat Sports and Entertainment? That was adding the entertainment was his idea, because he's like, you're in the film business. We could probably start doing some stunts and stuff and get these guys opportunity. And obviously we plan on doing TV down the line, so it's entertainment. So why don't we call it Wildcat Sports and Entertainment? And I said, yeah, that's even better. Let's do that. And then Orlando was with me for 3 months, and he moved to Australia and broke his leg out there and ended up living out there for the rest of his life now. So I just had everything here.
And so you keep it as is, Wildcat Sports and Entertainment today. Yeah.
Same.
And so does Orlando have a minute then?
Huh?
Is Orlando still part of? No, he's not.
No, we took care of that because he wasn't coming back, and he actually started a version over there. I don't know what happened to it, but everything we went into here was all mine. So I was the one who put up everything, and he was here, and we were hoping that, again, like, I'm not trying to put his business out there, but obviously a lot of people know about it already. It was just TNA was way behind. He was like 3 months behind on getting paid. Mm-hmm. So eventually he left. He just told him, he asked to part ways with him then. And he did the international bookings, and those were going well for him. And he ended up breaking his leg over there, and he couldn't fly. And that's when he's like, hey, maybe I'll just start a Wildcat over here, and we'll have the American version, we'll have the Australian version. But he also ended up getting married and have a kid too, and sometimes that can tear your life apart and stop everything in your tracks. So, yeah.
You start as a tag team with him. I mean,
yeah.
What happens with it? Now, this may be, like a very broad question, but with Wildcat, what do you feel is the ultimate goal? Obviously, being shown by as many people as possible, naturally, but what is the goal for Wildcat?
Well, it's constantly changing, but the main goal has always been to be a place where people can work full time. And hopefully we get that opportunity where we get on a worldwide scale, or a company big enough that where, you don't have to go somewhere else. You can stay here and make a living at Wildcat. That's pretty much my goal. We're not even close to that yet. We do really well. We draw big houses. Our November show had over 2,000 people at it. And it was a little infuriating, though, because I brought this up on Busted Open a couple weeks ago, is we didn't get a lot of love on the internet from it. It's crazy because we're not the internet. Excuse me, I keep hiccuping. We're not the internet darling promotion for some reason, and we have so many talented guys. But I think it's because we're in New Orleans and we're in the South, so we don't get a lot of eyes on us. But we drew over 2,200 people for an indie show.
Right.
For an indie show.
Never see that for an indie show.
Mike Johnson, who's freaking phenomenal, flew down from PW Insider and he covered it. But none of these other websites on wrestling news sites picked up on it. I'm going, are you freaking kidding me? Tell me what other indie shows are drawing 2,000 plus people in arenas. So, and Ring of Honor was here the week before, and they barely drew 500 people.
Yeah, I mean, out here in LA, if a indie show had more than 200 people there, it's a huge success out here.
Right, exactly. And there's a lot of good indie companies out there. But it's, I do want that love. In order for us to take the next step, we got to get the love online. So we got to get these news sites to start covering our stuff and putting over our guys, talking about the Jay Spades, talking about the Matt Lanceys, the Chuck Devines, the Buku Dows, the Danny Flamingos, the PJ Hawkses. The list goes on. We got Jace Valor, who just won our Revolution Championship. We just dropped every Tuesday for the last 6 weeks. We've been dropping matches on WildKat Sports YouTube and our Facebook and Twitter and stuff. But it's mainly on YouTube. So tonight, we just at 7 p.m., which just passed, we dropped Buku Dow versus Jace Valor for the Revolution Championship. So if you're watching this, go over to our WildKat Sports YouTube page and check out the prior matches. Check out Hawks Area versus Chuck Devine and Jet Danger. Check out Jay Spade versus Jace Valor versus Buku Dow versus Chuck Devine in a four-way for the Revolution Championship. So there's some good matches on there you can check out. Like I said, we filmed 6 matches and we dropped 1 per week. We're going to go back in the studios shortly and hopefully film another 6 to 8 matches and release those once a week as well.
Man, I'm a fan of yours, dude. You've always been good to me, and I love, getting this chance to catch up with you with just not just like the honesty, but the fact that you're really trying to build stuff, especially the guys in Wildcat and trying to give them that spotlight. So for those of you watching, tell these other websites about Wildcats. Help spread the word because down in Louisiana, so they're big and they should be bigger.
And honestly, I'm not just saying this because it's my guys. I'm saying it because they're super talented. These guys can go toe-to-toe with whoever they think the top stars are on Independence today. I promise you that. I can put Jay Spade in the ring right now with anybody. I can put Matt Lancey in the ring with anybody. I can put Jace Valor in the ring with almost anybody, and they'll go toe-to-toe with them. And they just haven't got that recognition, though. So I really want my guys who have been working so hard but been working – down here in the South where they really haven't got, and they've wrestled in LA, they've wrestled in Philly, they've gotten out across the country, but it's just hard to get those shining spots and get some notoriety. And I'd really like for my guys who have been working so hard for so long to get some notoriety.
Absolutely. So yeah, please follow the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and everything for WildKat Sports. Project Power on Netflix.
Project Power, August 14th.
And Luke, how can people, be keeping in touch with you and find out the latest with Hawks Airy or just Luke in general?
So all my social media is at Luke Hawx 504, LUKEHAWX 504, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I put a lot of shirtless pictures up because I'm conceited and I love looking at my muscles and posting about them and bench pressing a Buick, all the things, squatting a truck, whatever I do in the gym, I like to post about it. And I'll talk a little crap here and there and have some fun. That's what my social media is here for. But yeah, please give me a follow, talk some crap back, drop some lines, whatever. I'm always interacting. Let's get it.
You talk about how you want to show off and stuff, but you've gone over a half hour and haven't shown off the huge effing arms. You've been so oh, there it is.
It's just a light.
Well, follow Luke on all the forms of social media, like you said, in WildKat Sports. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Josh_Tariff. Subscribe, share this, share the YouTube page, youtube.com/Josh Tariff. New episodes of Josh Talks drop every Tuesday. Luke Hawx, Southern Stomper, my man. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Thanks for having me on, man. I'll see you next time I'm on the West Coast.
Yes, sir.